Okay, welcome back. And let's do something here. Okay, let's put this up here. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, back. We get extra help. Common knowledge among the right crowd. Uh, okay. Uh, Common knowledge among the right crowd. Such from Max to someone who got gossip among the princess prep school crowd. I guess Charming or Max, but because they've heard rumors. There gets the exact version in my print's Max spell, or by combining the note with John's file for the carving. Note gives public an easy layer. The second personal modifier. Guessable if you know that Violet likes Max come gossip. Hmm. We'll still need to think about this a bit more. Um, um, if we go with the premise that most princesses will have a Prince Charming uh, as a fairy tale trope. We might could. Well, wait a second. Wait just a second here. Let's see. Fairy tale trope. Fairy tale trope. Um. maybe we could lean into the Prince Charming trope by making that be the password, and then let's see. She would, okay. That won't work either. Hmm. I have to think of something that other princesses would. Okay, so the trope. Well, it's not really a trope. It's a fairy tale that it's kind of okay. That's kind of become a trope. Okay, so the fairy tale ending, that's become sort of a trope is Prince Charming. Um, this Prince Charming from Snow White or or is Charming from Snow White, and I mean the actual story, or is it like Cinderella or something else? It's not from the original Snow White story. Here's a quick. Is a named character largely a modern invention? Possible. Prince never named. He just shows up. Cinderella. Okay, Cinderella then. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, um, uh, so okay. So not speaking personally, but in general, the idea is every princess has her Prince Charming. So that could possibly be an obvious password, like a riddle. What does every princess want? And that could actually be answered for Prince Charming or generically true love. That does not relate at all to the note. In fact, the note's going to be the player thing. Actually, Prince Charming. Well, if I was making it a puzzle, Prince Charming, the correct answer would be Max somehow. Well, that can still work though, couldn't it? I think. Whoa, why was Cloudflare verifying something here? What's the deal with that? It brings us as the password concept. Other vacation. Still keep the faint covering on the door. I'm going to ask Brave Leo and Chat GPT as though I were asking them the riddle and see what they come up with. That will give me an idea of what to use, at least not for the personal part, but for the general one for all princesses. I think that's what I'll do. Okay, so let's just do that. I'm gonna do that in the normal browser window, which would be this one. Uh, I guess I'll do it as riddle or something. We'll say riddle, right? This. Secretly want or truly want? Should I ask it like, what does every princess truly want? Or what does every princess secretly? Secretly might not work. Truly feels more fairy tale, romantic, and elegant. Um, um, yeah. Truly want. Okay, true love then. All right, that's fine. Okay. So it might still be a choice. Let's see. Copy. Let's go to ChatGPT. I might even go to Claude here in just a moment. Live happily ever after. What's the ending, not just the castle? Of course, the modern answer. Good Wi-Fi in the tower. Okay. Hmm. That's interesting. Can you think of any other answers? You love freedom. Good. Uh, leave out the modern wokeisms. No feminism. No, I don't need no man. No girl boss antics. Only come up with answers based on classical fairy tales or even what do they call that when they call adaptations in other medium. True love, no, a noble prince, happy ending. Okay. Can you think of any other answers? But make sure to leave off any modern wokeisms like feminism, girl bosses, and I don't need no man type of stuff. Just traditional classic fairy tale answers. Happily ever after. Um, True love. Okay. Happily ever after. Okay. That's good. Maybe I should, like I said, do I have a Claude link here? Let's just, oh, darn it. I have to log in then. Here. Give me a quick second. Where's the thing to log in? Can I log in? Where is the login? Oh, oh, that's right. I have to do this stupid secure link crap. Oh, Why does this thing do that to me? Twitch, your stream is ready. I don't care. You don't need to tell me my stream is ready. Kickstarter. I don't care about Kickstarter. You'd follow her on Twitch. Anthropic. Done it. IT signed in. Build custom charge diagrams and visuals. That sounds cool, but I'm not interested in them right now. How do I close this stupid thing? I don't care. Oh, there we go. There's the X. I couldn't see the X for a second. Okay, let's go back. Okay. Can I? Okay. Let's see. Not for code. It's just gonna see what it. Leave off any modern wokeisms. No feminism. No. I don't need no man stuff. No girl boss antics. Just traditional fairy tale related answers. Fair enough. Prince Charming, of course. Okay, Prince Charming. This is the first one that said Prince Charming. It's funny they all three of them say a different thing. That's kind of goofy, isn't it? Okay. True Love's Kiss, Magnificent Ball Gown, Happily Ever After. Huh. I even asked Claude, and it gave me a different answer than Leo and Chat GPT. Kind of interesting. So Leo said, I think Leo said Happily Ever After, right? What was his first answer? No, it said True Love. It said True Love. A couple of other answers, but not really relevant. Chat GPT said her own story. That's so stupid. It's like, what did every princess truly want? Her own story. That's baloney. Bolshoni. Sometimes I say bolshoni. You know. The recording says bologna sausage. BS. But I'm like bolshoni. Her own story. Princesses don't want their own story. At least not back in the day. In fact, no one really originally were like that. They all wanted their Prince Charming. They wanted their happily ever after, right? They wanted to find true love. Those are all actually valid, even to what women wanted back in the day. Till feminism screwed everything up. But okay, so ChatGPT said its original deal said happily to live happily ever after. To live happily after. and in another list, and also listed true love after. And then Claude, believe it or not, Claude said a Prince Charming. Claude said Prince Charming. All valid answers. Be sure. I think true love is probably the thing that would be the top, though, I think. Charming, huh? It's a Prince Charming. That gives you 3 very natural guesses. Um, Actually, it seems true love would probably end up being the consensus answer. I'm going to ask Grok, but on my own account, to see what you would come up with when not knowing anything about my game. Well, truth be told, I discussed my game with Grok, but I'm not in a current conversation, and I can ask it to forget my game. Don't you forget my game, but I will ask the other instance account. Go ahead, ask the other instance real fresh. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and go over to here, and I'm gonna pull up Grok, and this will be on my own account. See, I have okay, so we have a like a shared account, X account, and honestly, we probably wouldn't have done it with X. We would have done it with email directly, but originally, Grok had to run through XAI for your account. So, but now I have discussed my games and stuff here. Okay. Um, okay. Wait. I want to ask you a riddle, but if you have any memory of my game, make sure you forget any references to my game in this conversation. Okay. Happy ending. Okay. Those are good. Uh, Making sure not to take any modern wokeisms into consideration. That is, no girl boss stuff, no feminism, no, I don't need no man, just traditional ideals and traditional fairy tale answers. But would you do a search on X and other social media and the internet to see what a consensus answer for this question would be? Consensus. See the okay. Right. Yeah. The clear recurring answer across classic sources is true love, whether Prince or Prince Charming, leading to marriage and happily ever after. That's I mean that's all three things there. Mm. The wedding happily ever after as a surprise. No widespread real consensus popped up for this exact phrase, and not famous one line like the Sphinx, but traditional. She wants her prince and a happy ending. Um, that's quickly fine. I'm actually that's perfectly fine. Thank you. That's good. Thank you. Uh, that works. Thank you. Okay, thanks. All right. This is what. Oops. This is what Brock said. It's actually those are actually the three answers. Uh, got it. She loved Prince Charming happily ever after. These are very valid, feel very princessy. think Prince Charming is still the strongest choice for the correct password. Most specific and trope heavy of the three, directly ties into the central mechanic of the books. Okay, makes Violet's personal twist. We're gonna say her personal twist a little bit. Well, okay, yeah, that true love, happily ever after, a bit too generic. Uh, I mean, yeah, that I mean that's I guess I could do it that ways. Prince Charming would be the correct answer. Um, Possibly. Let me think here now. Um, I almost could make this a separate, like, kind of a puzzle here. I mean, it would require, because it's choose your own adventure. Uh, it would like balloon the choices like way up though. This can actually be a dialogue puzzle where they ask them what are the three things that princesses want most, and that would be true love, um, true love, her Prince Charming, and a happily ever after. Those would be the three answers. That's kind of interesting. I almost do that, but hmm. Now I couldn't do it in this stage because it would balloon too big, but this could be a it essentially amounts to a dialogue puzzle, sort of dialogue puzzle, where you have to answer what are the three things a princess wants most. Would be true love, her Prince Charming, and a happily ever after. Now, um, this could probably be solved by just about anyone, but you could also scatter the three as clues in the game somewhere so that they have to sort of put them together. Oh yes, I heard this somewhere. However, this does not have anything personal in it. And I can stick with the original, just get in there kind of thing, um, or I can this would also not use the clues about Violet's feelings towards Max. So, regardless of what I use for other princess, is how do I fit in the personal part into this? Yeah, there's a thing here. You either do it generic or personal. The personal means the player finds the clues and they're able to answer it, but there's no reason for her to actually make this riddle and allow anybody in that would know her particular answers. However, maybe the actual answers are those three that I just said, generic answers for princesses, and somehow the princess answers max spell, but why would you do that? Why would you want to clue her in to who you are? Like somebody that knew her, so that you wouldn't. So that's what it means for about a character not doing something stupid, right? Got it. Personal layer tied about the session max makes password more specific and secure for the player. Cleanest way to combine both without making it feel like two separate puzzles. One of the big three. Layer is solvable by NPCs and feels fair. Personal layer, Violet's twist, the player uses. When Karen tries out one, the general answer is a 10. Well, okay. Because at first they don't know who Karen is. They assume she's another tourist. Okay. Yeah, okay. Well, so she recognizes so Violet recognizes her only because the got she gave an answer that only someone she knew or knew of would give. So then when she takes a second look, she knows who she is. However, at first, uh, no one would really recognize her, especially since they're not expecting Princess Karen to show up. And what would make Karen want to give Max as an answer anyway? That's what I mean about characters being stupid. She wouldn't be, so she wouldn't give that answer. So, I mean, it's not really. I'm stuck in the way of. I still kind of wanted to do this personal thing where she gives this answer. It's the wrong answer for the riddle, but it's actually right because she mentions Max or whatever. So, so how do I reconcile this? Do I just leave it generic and as planned, or can I make this personal answer work somehow. Because she wouldn't want to give up her identity. I mean, she's in disguise, and Violet doesn't recognize her at first, right? Because it's been a while, and she's dressed up differently, and she maybe not paying attention to her. But when she gives this weird answer, she's going, "Wait a second, there's only a few people that know this." And then she gives her a second look, and then she recognizes her instantly because really the disguise didn't do that much. It only works if you don't know the person, or if you know, like if it's kind of like the way um yeah, there's a thing like in now I don't know if this happens for everybody, but for me I think it's kind of true. And that is if you're going through, okay, let's say we went through Disneyland, and um once or twice there were what I thought were celebrities, but I wasn't sure, and I could have been totally wrong. I didn't know for sure. So I'm not saying I actually saw a celebrity. I'm saying I think I saw a celebrity a couple of times. And so that would work psychologically if a celebrity that you know the face of fairly well were walking and they didn't have an entourage or anything with them. It was just them walking by themselves. Um, and let's just say that they did still have protection, but protection was out of sight. The you know maybe a large radius around the celebrity, so the celebrity could still walk, but that they could be there instantly if anything bad happens, right? If you pass the celebrity, you'd be looking at them and going like, "Wait a second, is that who I think it is?" And half the time you might be going, "Nah, they wouldn't be here like this. They'd be, they would have closed off the park and they would have done this, and that, and the other thing." I'll tell you one thing. I was at the LAX airport, and I got this on tape. Believe it or not, high 8 tape. And I could swear it was Norm Macdonald, and there's another guy that's a celebrity, like a comedian or whatever, that you might recognize. I can't remember his name right now, but that was with him. And they had some golf clubs, and I could have sworn it was Norm Macdonald. I did get him on camera. In fact, he kind of looked back towards me with my camera, like are we doing anything here? Or quit videotaping me or whatever kind of thing. You know, it wasn't like back off, or it wasn't like rude like that. It was just like kind of this kind of thing where it's like um, don't do anything, don't kind of invade my privacy. And I really wasn't. I was just standing there, and we were in the airport getting ready to board a plane, and I just saw him, and my brother saw him, and we're like, "Look, is that what's his face?" And I just videotaped him for a little bit. He looked back and then continued on. In other words, probably ready, assuming that it was actually him, probably ready to see somebody, come up and ask for an autograph or something, or bug him somehow or whatever. But at the same time, I'm pretty sure it was him, but it might not have been. And so there's a little bit of kind of like, uh, was that really them? And because you don't know, because sometimes people look like each other, and so it might totally not have been him. I'm pretty sure it was, and I did get him on tape, but it might have not have been him too. And so that's what I was just saying. So you have a disguise. Disguise works in general. Um, when I know they kind of show in like shows and stuff where they doing a disguise, like they put on a hat or something, and different kind of clothes and stuff, and they get past the police or something, and that would really work because if you're looking for somebody and you have this picture of what they look like or what they're supposed to look like, then you may completely overlook somebody with a different colored hat or different shirt or a different kind of thing, you know, or whatever. And so that's the thing here. You could also even look at the whole Superman thing. Now, my dad has always talked about how dumb it was that people didn't recognize Clark Kent as Superman, right? With just a few glasses, and I know that Christopher Reeve like parted his hair opposite of Superman when when he's doing Clark Kent, but I always did this thing, and I not a magic thing, not like Superman was had magically made himself look different. But my logical this is how I would explain it, right? If there was a way to explain it, even on screen or something, would be like the fact that when you see it's just off enough that even though they look like them, you're not sure if they are them, and you're like kind of like I don't know, maybe, you know, it's not the fact that the glasses completely fools you into thinking that he's somebody else. It's not like that. It's more like uh it's more like you look at him and you went, he kind of looks like Superman, right? If you take off the glasses, maybe he'd be Superman, right? And then so when you see both of them, it's more like it doesn't really trick your brain exactly. In other words, exactly uh you could tell for sure who he was, but I think of it more like a psychological thing that Superman's not even doing, like a natural psychological thing that we all do. You know, there's people that look like each other all the time. There are a ton of guys that look like Christopher Reeve when he's Clark Kent and when he's Superman. You know, almost any guy can put on glasses and you know be like they're Clark Kent or something. You know, that kind of thing. Um, so there are a lot of people that look like each other, so that when you see it, your brain doesn't give it a second thought. Your brain doesn't scrutinize it and doesn't go, "Oh, they're the same person." Your brain kind of goes, "Oh, they're kind of different." You know, I mean, it's not exactly the same, right? It's like if you're wearing if you're wearing a suit versus a suit and a special dress shoes and whatever a tie and all that versus being in your jeans and a t-shirt and sneakers. And if you put them side by side, um, the guy in the sneakers and the t-shirt and the jeans would actually look kind of shorter than the other guy that was dressed with the suit, right? Because the suit kind of builds you up. It kind of makes it look a little bit bigger. It makes it look a little bit taller and stuff. And the shoes would help with that. And so if they were standing side by side, you'd see that there was a definite difference, right? So I always think of Superman and Clark Kent that way. So I always think of it like a psychological deal, not a magical deal, not something that Superman does to people or whatever, makes them forget or whatever. Like when he's like kissing the girls and then they forget all about him and kind of thing, but more like a psychological deal. Like if anybody looked at Clark Kent, they would not put it together with Superman. Why Superman wears this bright blue suit, the red underwear and the red boots and the cape, right, the red cape, and this guy is wearing a normal three-piece suit and he's got slicked back hair and he's got glasses on, and so your brain would automatically connect the two unless you really scrutinize their faces really good. And then might go, well, you know, even twins, even identical twins, sometimes they look slightly different, And sometimes sometimes you can't tell uh, who's who, but sometimes you can because there's characteristics and there's a way that they carry themselves and stuff that's slightly different than their twin. Anyways, I don't know why I went on that tangent because now only have 30 minutes left, but okay. Drop the password puzzle entirely from beat 3. The note just directs to Fairy God College. Okay. So drop the. Okay. So drop the whole. Um. Okay. if I drop it and I drop the personal thing, then those clues aren't clues anymore. Understood. Filter off your feeling. If you drop the password puzzle or make it generic, then stops being a useful clue, stops being meaningful. The details you plan to lose a payoff. Two clean paths. Keep the clues meaningful. Personal password. Well, no, I mean there's a thing. She knows Princess Karen did go to the school back in the day. So she and Violet knows about Princess Karen anyways. Yeah, but they wouldn't need a name. That's the thing. Hmm. At all. I just thought of something though. That could totally make that work. Maybe the distraction is Karen confronting Violet. Maybe that's the point. She's disguised, and it doesn't fool Violet at all. She knows who she is. And when she answers, instead of answering the generic Prince Charming, which is the natural daily, she answers Maximilian Spell. And then of course Violet's suspicious now, and I still would need a reason for her to want to do that, to want to confront Violet though. Okay, so let me think about this for a second. So there are some movies, probably some novels, stories as well, where they intentionally confront the villain while their backup slash friends slash support uh, go in um, and set things up. Maybe they need to steal something, and then one of their group, even the main character, confronts the villain in order to distract him from what they're really doing. And I wish I had a good example come to mind, but I know they exist. Every time. Very common effective story beat, the distraction, decoy, confrontation, sometimes called the bait and switch or the diversion. Ocean's 11, in most heist movies, one or two team members deliberately draw the attention and security of the villain or guards while the rest of the team does the actual work. Empire Strikes Back, create noise and get captured on Cloud City so Lando can try to free them later while Luke is off training. They don't try to get captured on Cloud City though, so that's not right. Yeah, there we go. That's a good one. Guardians of the Galaxy one. Actually, Guardians of the Galaxy is the only true one out of these examples, really, that does that. But where the confrontation with the villain by the main character or hero is the actual uh, is the actual distraction. The distraction isn't something else. The distraction is this confrontation. Uh, right. So then she can give the exact answer, which is Max. So spell uh, and that piques Violet's curiosity. While we count books around. The attendant is slightly surprised because it's unusually specific. What's her in it? When Violet hears the name or sees her shortly after, it piques her curiosity. She takes closer, like, wait, that's Princess Karen. This makes Violet's recognition feel earned and natural. She doesn't instantly know it's Karen from the password alone, but the very specific answer makes her pay attention and then connect the dots. Why this feels see, this is good. I'm glad I did this discussion even though I didn't actually get stuff done. I mean, I did. I made a decision. I got a decision done, but I didn't actually do any physical work on the chapter. Ticks me off. Uh, Still get. I mean, I like doing it. I like getting to the right thing here. Finally getting to the right thing, but yeah. Okay. What flags Karen is unusual gives the count time to do his stealth work while Karen is being processed, drawing attention. Um, yes, this works all right. So I can still have the clues. By the way, the chapter 3 is where John enters Princess Prep. He spots Violet and Red's file and grabs them. So I can put almost anything in there. So the clues being she maybe she does hearts and Max's name all over. Maybe there's the same double heart arrow through both their initials. That's what's carved on the door. Yeah. And later on, I can actually turn. Yeah, I think. Also, I can make sure that the three things is the question. So, Princess Karen would say, "True." It might be true. Maybe it'll be True Love's Kiss. You know, True Love's Kiss. True Love's Kiss. Well, True Love, happy ending, or a happily ever after. The true love, or true love's kiss, a happy ending, or a happily ever after. And her Prince Charming. And in this case, she's going to say an Maximilian spell. Okay. I can turn that into a puzzle later where you have to find the all three answers, but actually it'd be super easy, though you could probably answer it without, whatever. Well, actually, if it's a dialogue puzzle, sure, maybe a dialogue puzzle where each item has a number of other guesses that sound like something you would find, but only a single correct answer for each item. Actually, that sounds like a good idea. I think that's a good idea. Okay. Finally. Planning session plus counts deal. Right. Light decision. Go to Fairy God College or Princess Prep first. If they choose Fairy God College first, turn away for password. They have to go to Princess Prep anyways. Okay, that's fine. Karen goes to Princess Prep. She's in what does every princess truly want? It'd be what are the three things every princess truly wants? But that's okay. That's beside the point. And her Prince Charming, the attendant. Let's. Well, she isn't gonna give that. She's gonna say, okay, okay. The note will say what are the things every princess truly wants. Um, and saying Prince, instead of saying her Prince Charming, she says Maxim in spell. Um, she's probably going to have a magic mirror to be able to look at whomever is at the door. And so she'll look up from some papers on her desk and say something like, bring her to me, or some such. Maybe there's a magic mirror there near the door. Oh, maybe. Okay, so I had an idea earlier of a magic mirror being kind of used as a peephole kind of thing, where it sits on the door. There's nothing that can see there except for it's a magic mirror that can do that. And so the person, the attendant, I guess, would be able to see who that is, and then he'd be able to hit the bezel and says, um, to Violet, you know, uh, let me speak to Violet Moonshadow, and then her face pops up. It says, "You better come and see this." And so she comes down. I know it's really involved, but something like that. Maybe there's a magic mirror on the door that allows them to see outside, and he also the attendant also touches the bezel and says to speak to Violet, and she comes on the mirror, and he tells her the unusual answer, and she says, let her in, and bring her to me. Princess goes back to Princess, sees the note on the door. What are the things? Lieutenant looks surprised. He touches the bezel of a small voodoo rabbit. Should give us an unusual answer. That's actually not a bad idea. I mean, I won't say it like that because I'm not doing the narrative pass, but I'll. She looks up from some paper, studies Karen for a moment, and says, clear interest, bring her to me. She has to throw her bag with the count into the box. Karen isn't guessing randomly. She's cleverly substituting personal information from John's file into the third slot. The attendant's surprise in calling Violet on the mirror feels natural with Violet's recognition that happens on the mirror. She gets a good look at Karen's face, which justifies her immediate interest. Bringing her to me, it still leaves room for the count to do his self work while Karen is being escorted. You let your answers say as generic expected ones. Quick questions to refine. Do you want the correct third answer to be exactly Maximilian's spell or something softer like Uh, um, probably will be exactly Maximilian. Yeah, something like so in the file, something like Maximilian L is my French charming. Maybe it's in a note he's passing to a classmate. That happened to get confiscated. Um, and then the other ones can be, like I said, can be a dialogue puzzle, and in fact, probably could figure out the answer. But if you made it a real dialogue puzzle, you'd have more. You'd have 5 to 7 answers that all sound plausible. Uh, they sound like they should come out of a fairy tale. In other words, it won't be just like you know saying, "Oh yeah," and that too, and that too. You know. Of course, the questions for the actual puzzle, I might add actual individual questions. So it's not just the 3 answers. There are 3 questions. They all have to be answered correctly, and you get like a multiple choice thing, dialogue puzzle. Surprised. Sporting clue. And of course, she's a high school student. I don't know high school students would actually act this way, so I'll just I'll think about it maybe. Um, this is fine for the overall flow. Don't worry about specific dialogue or text. I'll figure that out. Um, okay, I don't have to make it a puzzle right now, right? Yeah, I'll just leave it like that. I'll worry about making that into a puzzle later when I actually start making puzzles, or later phase when I'm expanding stuff out. Okay. So, can you summarize everything we just talked about so I can put it in my dump file? In my notes. Nice summary. Okay. Overall approach. Keep chapter sparse. Minimum 1 to be. Okay, that's fine. Faster, small puzzle. not overly complex, but recognize Karen because of the specific answer, not instantly. Group size and rescue plan. Okay, count still. Light decision. Should they go to Fairy God College first or Princess Prep first? Wrong choice. Turn away for password. Have to go to Princess Prep anyways. Beat 3. Karen sees a note on the door. Password were the 3 things every princess truly wants. Gets her answers with the generic 2. Specific third. Okay. Um, we still haven't really figured out what the decision points are for B3. But I guess we'll have to do that next session. Either tonight, if I can make it, or definitely tomorrow, the normal time. Because I'm Here's a quick clean summary of where we were on beat 3. This is points. Note on the door, password, 3 things. It's your generic 2. The attendant calls Violet on the magic mirror because the third answer is unusually specific. Violet recognizers, bring it to me. Exact decision points. We know that at least one real choice, but we haven't finalized the wording or diamond pattern that options yet. What I could do is I could make it. See, how many pages would that make that? We're gonna have 3 for the in between. 3 plus 4, that's 7. Okay. 8, 9, and 10. That's only 10. And then whatever. Okay. Because I'm gonna still have to come up with the like how do you know this? I mean, obviously, if you know fairy tales, you know these 3 answers. They're the most common answers. They're the ones that pop up. So that's not really a hard sell for a player. But um, oh. But if I'm doing a puzzle where they have to find the 3 things, right? Plus they have to find the specific Maximilian spell. So they need all 3 regular ones and maxes. The 3 regular ones is because that's for everybody in the world. That's all the extra princesses in the world. They can figure it out. So it still actually needs to be there, even if you're going to use the specific answer. Okay, so it's about time for me to go, but okay, so copy. We'll just do that, and I'll put that in my notes. That's what I thought. Let's do something here. Let's okay. Let's just go ahead and back this up, and then I'll save it. And I guess I'll do my little recording before I log off or before I end the stream here. So the recording today is Tuesday, March 31st, 2026, and today mostly got down to what beat 3 is actually going to consist of. So so there's a deal. One is that the way for the princess to get in. We're deciding on a password, and then we're gonna make it personal, so that Violet will recognize her, and then have some special deal she wants to do to her. Something she crafted for Red, I guess. I can't remember exactly if that was what I was thinking of yesterday, but we kept going back and forth because you can't have a generic thing that all princesses can use to answer to join the special program, but and still have the personal one for Violet specifically. And the way I got around that was is is kind of a misdirection diversion. You know, somebody in a movie or show or something says, go and create a diversion because I got to do something. Well, our main characters here are the diversion. So what Princess Karen does is she goes in, and so I changed the question to what are 3 things a princess truly wants. True love, happily ever after, her Prince Charming, right? Still might do True Love's Kiss instead of True Love, but we'll see. Anyways, so when she says, instead of saying her Prince Charming, she says Maximilian Spell, and then that clues Violet to take a closer look. Oh, and recognize this Prince Karen, and all Karen's there to do is to distract, so that the Count can go in as a bat and see what happened to all the princesses, and maybe even see what happened to her possibly. Um, so but I still need I need a kind of a puzzle here so that I actually have some actual choices that you can choose from. So I haven't got to that yet, but hopefully we'll get in the next session either tonight if I'm able to get some time tonight, or tomorrow on the normal thing. So that's what I did for today on Tuesday, March 31st, 2026. Okay, so that about does it. So thanks everybody. Uh, Thanks, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow. I don't do it this night. Okay. And with that, thank you for watching part 2. See you tomorrow or tonight, depending.